Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Game and Gig podcast, we're talking about the genre that gamers are most tired of playing and some horrible news from Nintendo.
Well, Daniel, before we start talking about what genre of games gamers are most tired of seeing and playing.
Oh, and they're tired of it.
Yeah. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about our Discord server. We have a very small but great Discord server, and we would love for you to be a part of it. There's an invite link in the description of wherever you're getting this podcast. Just come join. It's a good place to talk games, find out when we go live on Twitch, see what content we're talking about, and just whatever the gaming conversation is.
That's right. There's some cool people over there, and we're there too.
And speaking of the gaming conversation, today we're talking about which genre of games are gamers most tired of. You know, we've seen a lot of games. We get a lot of games, and they're not always different.
No, they're not. In fact, oftentimes they're very redundant.
They are. And you know, what'll happen is a particular style of game will come around. There'll be an amazing game that everyone will love. Mm-hmm. And then what will happen is we'll get just copies of that game, essentially.
Right.
And then everyone gets burnt out on it, and we're like, okay, we're over it. So I wanted to see what genre of game gamers are currently most burnt out on.
Right. So we asked the Gaming Gig faithful, we said, which genre are you tired of? Which one you don't want to play no mo? And at 30%, people said open world action adventure. At 19%, people said FPSs. At 6%, people said MMOs. And at 46%, people said battle royale.
So battle royale won this poll, or I guess you could say lost this poll.
You could.
People don't want to play battle royales anymore. They're burnt out on them. Mm-hmm. It's strange, though, because I was looking through the comments on this poll, and although Battle Royale was the most voted upon option, there were hardly any comments about Battle Royales.
Yeah, it surprises me that it won, to be honest with you, because I know there's a lot of Battle Royales, but I mean, games like Fortnite are still extremely popular.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing people talk about open world fatigue for a really long time now. And I've been one of those people. And that's the option I would have voted for.
Yeah. And that was what most of the comments were focused towards, was open world games being something they're burnt out on. Mm-hmm. And I get it. We get a lot more open world games than we do battle royales.
Yeah.
Although it did seem like for a hot minute there, coming off, especially off of, PUBG and Fortnite, like it seemed like we got a lot of battle royales on a row. Mm-hmm. Seems like that slowed down though.
Yeah, I think it has slowed down a little bit. I mean, it seemed for a while there like everybody wanted one. Mm-hmm. And, even Nintendo was like throwing battle royales into their games, which I think was actually kind of fresh. But,
Wait, what game did they throw a battle royale in?
Oh, Tetris 99.
Oh, you're talking about
F-Zero 99,
okay.
Pac-Man 99,
okay,
Super Mario 35. I think that's all of them.
Yeah. I was thinking, I don't know why I was thinking about just like physical games, not these like digital only games. I was like, I can't think of a Nintendo battle royale type game.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of them. You're right.
I think those are cool. It's like a unique take on it.
Yeah.
Because it's nobody, when PUBG hit the scene, I don't think anybody was thinking about it eventually influencing Tetris.
No. But it did.
It did.
Which is awesome. But we got a comment here about this, and let me let you guys know if you're new to the podcast. The way this works is we put these polls out on the main Gaming Gig channel, not here on the podcast channel.
No.
On the main Gaming Gig YouTube channel, we look at the polls, we talk about the comments, we react to them. That's what this podcast is. So, starting today off, we're going to be looking at K Topic's comment about Battle Royale and said, Battle Royale and first-person shooters have become very tiring, repetitive, and cash grab driven. Much of these games are developed as a pay-to-win, loot box type, extra money-making ripoff, trying to take advantage of the consumer, and unfortunately, lots of game companies all want to make games like this.
Well, I think I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's all about the money.
It's all about the money, yeah.
It's all about the money. It's a little predatory, but it's all about the money.
Obviously the genre of Battle Royale is a compelling type of game to play. And I can understand as a developer wanting to make kind of my spin on a Battle Royale.
For sure.
You brought up Nintendo. I think that's, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's a really cool example because those games are definitely not cash grabs at all. It's just kind of like, they're like, hey, we could take this premise and apply it to some games in a really cool way.
For sure. I mean, I think the main prevailing theory behind why they even did F-Zero 99 is just to see if people care about F-Zero anymore.
Right.
It's kind of what I kept hearing. So,
and why not use a format of game that's pretty hot at the moment to do it?
Right. I think that's a very good idea. I enjoy it.
Now, in terms of these Battle Royale games being a little predatory, I do think that if you look back at it at a whole, yeah, I think so. Obviously, there are examples of games that aren't super predatory. You get into some different types of psychology, like say Fortnite, for example. Fortnite is definitely not pay to win.
No.
But what it is there you have all these cosmetics, and it does create kind of sort of like a class system within Fortnite. And if you're not a part of the people who pay to have skins and stuff, you definitely don't feel like you're really experiencing the game in the same way. There's a lot of pressure to spend money in that game.
Yeah, it's not pay to win, but it is pay to not look like a noob.
Yes.
And you tell me which one is stronger for the children.
I honestly think I agree. I think that they probably have a better system in terms of making them money. Just kind of like having that peer pressure. And it's not just peer pressure. It's just like everyone playing the game pretty much has these skins. And if you're playing just like stock, you're going to feel like, man, ooh, I'm not really.
Can't drop in with somebody playing stock.
It feels that way.
Yeah, no, it does.
It really does feel that way.
Maybe not necessarily from 33-year-old men, but I think it does from the population as a whole.
And we've talked about on this podcast multiple times about how I think I've at least said that I'm pretty adverse to spending money like on microtransactions or just extra stuff in games. I don't like to do that. But still, I can't say that I've never spent money in Fortnite because I have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like microtransactions as an idea just to begin with, but I do, if I enjoy the game and I know I'm going to be putting some time into it and it was free to play, I don't mind spending a little, but there is a limit and people cross that limit.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
There has to be a cutoff. Like you can't just go crazy. Well,
I was going to say, so although Battle Royale won the poll, like 90% of the comments were focused at open world games.
Yeah, and that one makes a lot more sense to me. So we've got a comment here from R. Schritt, who said, open world games. They move to having the biggest worlds possible, but usually sparsely populated and filled with fetch quests. And that's what I don't like. Thank you. I feel very seen. That is exactly what wore me out on the genre. And of course, there are games that come out that bring me back, like the Tears of the Kingdoms and, Witcher 3 even, things like that. Great games. Absolutely masterpieces. But as a whole, yeah, I don't get excited when I hear about a new open world game.
I agree. And but I do think that the developers are starting to pick up on this.
I think they are. And
I think that they're like trying to say, hey, something's not working here. Let's take a step back and let's reformulate. And I have used, talking about this in the past, I've used the example of Assassin's Creed Mirage of a game, we saw Assassin's Creed Valhalla be the kind of peak example of this.
Oh, yeah.
Worlds that were too big, had nothing really to do in them.
Yeah.
And then we have the next game, they've taken a step back and they've reduced the size of the world. They've made it so that it's actually filled with stuff. Because it's smaller, they can actually do that. And it doesn't just have a bunch of pointless fetch quests.
Yes. I think we've all been suffering from what I'm about to coin the Hyrule Field effect. Because when I was a young man, very young, and I walked into Hyrule Field for the first time, I thought it was the biggest area I had ever seen, because I think it was in a game at that time that I had ever played in.
Yeah.
Anyway. And I remember feeling like the world was so vast and there was so much to do.
Although there's very little to do in Hyrule Field.
I know. But at the time, it didn't feel that way. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like the bigger, the better. Give me the biggest world you can. I want to just be able to get lost in this thing, And for years, I was chasing that. And then I found it. And I got tired of it.
Yep.
And I think now we're starting to back up, like you said.
Yeah. And I used Assassin's Creed Mirage as an example, but same company, Ubisoft, in terms of their, they're publishing these, obviously not the same development teams, just put out this Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, which is another great example of the opposite, where that world is beautiful, it's huge, and in my opinion, there's very little to do in it. It's not a fun game, in my opinion. So
IMHO?
IMHO, exactly. So, not everything is perfect nowadays, but I do think that overall the industry is correcting in the right direction.
I agree.
We just saw Tears of the Kingdom, which is a huge game, bigger than Breath of the Wild, but somehow they at least are filling it with stuff. Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing.
It doesn't feel sparse at all. There is literally something to distract you from what you were trying to do around every corner. So If every game was like that, I might not be tired of it.
Yeah. I don't think it's so much a size thing, because I think that's a great example of that game is huge, but it's all about like, what do they put in this world? And is the size justified?
Right.
And very rarely is it.
Very rarely.
All right. We have a comment here from Mackie01 who said, open worlds could have nothing in it but a slapper soundtrack and a nice view, and I'm entertained. Well, let me tell you about Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. That's your game right there.
Does it have a banger soundtrack or a slapper soundtrack?
It's not a bad soundtrack. I mean, it's like
it's
it's orchestral, you know?
It's orchestral.
It's not bad.
How's the soundtrack to like Death Stranding? Because that's just full of nice views that you can walk to the top of hills and admire.
You know, it's been such a long time since I played Death Stranding. I don't really remember, but I remember loving the atmosphere in that game. So I'm going to guess that it had a good soundtrack.
That might be the game for you.
Dude, I love Death Stranding, and it didn't have a whole lot to do in it, I'll admit.
That's what I'm saying.
But, you know.
You could build ladders up these hills, and then you climb them, and then you get to the top, and you could turn around and look where you came from, and that might be your game, Mackie.
I mean, hey, this was the most upvoted comment on this poll. Mackie's comment.
Wow.
Open worlds could have nothing in it but a slapper soundtrack and a nice view. I'm entertained. So
Interesting.
there were so many people who agreed with this.
Well, I mean, years ago, I would have probably agreed. Because I remember playing Skyrim, and I would like walk over a hill and see this like valley with this river going through it and be like, this is the prettiest thing I've ever seen. Like, I just want to walk around, you know? Now I play Skyrim, and I'm like, there are prettier games. That's what happens with Tom.
But I do like it when you want to like live in a world.
Sure.
It's not really about the gameplay, just so much as like, I just want to be in that world.
Absolutely.
I think about games like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh yeah, good example.
You know, that's just a game that I just want to spend time in. Even though the gameplay in Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't the best, I think that the gameplay in Red Dead 1 is better, honestly. But the vibe and atmosphere of Red Dead 2, I just want to be in that world.
It is great. It is great. I mean, I even think of this isn't really an open world as much as a sandbox, but Sea of Thieves does that to me from time to time.
Definitely, 100%.
You know, sometimes I just want to go to the top of Smuggler's Bay and watch the sunset.
Hey, you know, I mean, you got to see a sunset somewhere. You can't
beautiful.
find it in here.
That game's beautiful.
Oh, it's a gorgeous
game. The
game.
water and everything is beautiful in that game. So I feel you, Mackie. I feel you.
So I included MMO as an option on this because I remember years ago like hearing people like talking about being tired of MMOs. I think maybe that genre has just mostly died off in kind of a ways. We have this comment here from Pyrocast. Hit us with that one, Daniel.
Pyrocast said, MMO is already a dying genre with how badly Diablo keeps messing up. And there aren't that many big MMOs left. I think about Diablo and WoW, and it's like...
Yeah. So maybe that's it. Maybe that option would have been a higher voted on option in the poll had we done this like maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably so. But I do hear a lot of people complaining about Diablo.
Oh, yeah.
Diablo Immortal obviously was like a huge snafu. But then Diablo 4 gets some similar criticisms.
From what I've heard, you know, I'm not experimented with Diablo in any way. It doesn't seem like a game that I'm interested in. And actually, MMOs in general don't really interest me very much.
Not even that Zelda MMO?
What Zelda MMO?
The hypothetical one that somebody mentioned last week on the podcast.
Oh, no, I don't even remember that.
Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. It's been mentioned.
Okay. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I just thought he would remember. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I have no clue. You know what? I do think I remember reading a comment and saying a Zelda MMO is like, nothing makes me want to barf more than thinking about a Zelda MMO. I do remember that.
Yeah, you were very averse to it. Yeah.
I don't want that.
I don't want that either.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So there were other genres that people kept talking about that weren't these options. But, oh, wait, we didn't cover first-person shooter yet.
No, we did not.
Well, let's talk about that.
Hit us.
We got one from Hypernova Gaming who said, it's funny. I've been burnt out on FPS since they took over took over 360. I don't give a darn about them. Now, open world RPGs, that's a game. We got like some conflicting stuff here.
I would have agreed completely with this back in my Bethesda crazed days.
But that you were over FPS games? Or
that I didn't give a crap about FPS games and an open world RPG is where it's at. That would have been me for sure. Now I'm kind of tired of both.
Yeah, especially when you consider a open world RPG that has some FPS elements in it. Starfield.
Yeah, but the shooting wasn't bad in Starfield. I mean,
no, I'm just saying it's kind of a combination of these.
Cyberpunk, same way, and you love Cyberpunk.
True. True. Yeah, I guess so. I'm honestly not super burnout on, open world RPGs. I have gone through phases of being burnout on them, and I haven't played enough FPSs to get burnout on them. I just don't. It's not a genre of game that I particularly like, so haven't played enough of them to be like, oh, I just can't stand them anymore.
Same here. It's not that I'm as burned out as it is that I never really loved them.
Right.
I mean, I still occasionally play Halo Infinite, and Sea of Thieves is first person, but it is not an FPS.
No.
Yeah, I've always been more of a third person shooter kind of guy with Gears of War and such. So just hasn't ever been my thing.
Yeah, so I've not really burned out on either of those. But I could get why you were, especially back, when we're talking about the heyday of like COD and Battlefield and like all that. Like,
there's a lot.
It felt like we were getting so many of those. And it does feel like those have pared back a good bit now.
I mean, maybe. But now you got the hero shooters. Like the Valorants and what's that other one? Why am I blanking?
I don't know which one you're talking about. Valorant is
the one from Blizzard, Overwatch. Those are still real popular, and the kids are still playing Rainbow all the time. You got the new CS:GO. There's still a lot of them.
Oh, definitely. They're
Apex.
definitely still around.
Of course, those are battle. I mean, we're blending genres here, but like,
I guess it feels like we've just gotten past the like huge peak of the FPS genre.
we probably have.
Maybe we haven't. I mean, who knows? But it kind of feels like we have, personally. Mm-hmm. But there were a lot of other genres that people were talking about in the comments that they were tired of. Like this one here from Cannonballs. Hit us with that one, Daniel.
Cannonballs said, survival and crafting. And it's not really that I'm fully tired of it. I just feel like it's been such a success for small dev teams and indie dev teams that it won't be long before big studios and publishers make their way into it and figure out how to monetize it.
So I know it's been big for indie, but I mean, like some of the biggest games of all time are survival crafting games. I mean, look at Minecraft.
There's a little game, little game called Minecraft.
Yeah, but then also we just had like Pal World, which is basically a survival crafting game.
True.
It kind of blends genres, but at its core, it's a survival crafting game.
And then you got your Arcs and you got your Rusts and
yeah.
It's a genre that people play for sure. It's not really one that I've ever gotten hugely into, but
it feels like a lot of genres will kind of take elements of survival crafting and kind of put it into their game. Just because I think Minecraft, was so successful with it, that we saw it, combining elements into games that aren't those games strictly.
Mm-hmm. And Minecraft is like popular among all ages too. Mm-hmm. There is a teacher at my school who has a son who's like 5, 6 maybe. And he was playing Mario Kart on a Switch, but he was like, I have trouble turning. So I convinced his mom to bring a Switch to me, and I turned on tilt controls for her. But that's not why I'm telling the story. The reason I'm telling the story is because when he heard me say that, he like yelled at me not to accidentally delete his Minecraft world. Because he knew that when I turned the Switch on, Minecraft would be there. Because he apparently doesn't know how to close the game. And then when his mom brought me the Switch the next day, she was like, he told me to tell you, do not delete his Minecraft world. And I was like, okay, I will not.
you just like erase Minecraft and his save just to like ruin that kid's life.
Yeah. No, I pressed pause and I saved it and quit. And his mom was like, can you show me how you just did that?
He needs to know.
Anyway, Minecraft is popular. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But I know that there are like a lot of indie games that do kind of tap into that survival crafting thing. And I'm sure it's done well. But in terms of them monetizing it, do you think a big company is going to come around and try to monetize this survival crafting thing? Or has it already been done? I mean, like...
I think it's already been done.
Yeah.
I think Minecraft is the big one. It would be... How are you going to topple that?
Is Minecraft filled with like microtransaction stuff?
No, right? I don't think so. It's just the big survival game. And I don't really see a company having the gall to be like, oh, we can take over that. That's tough. I just don't really see it coming. I think the Battle Royale genre... lends itself so well to the loot boxes and whatnot. It makes more sense for companies to keep beating that dead horse.
Gosh. And speaking of companies monetizing games in ways they shouldn't, that is a trend that I'm hoping will die very quickly. And I think it will because it's getting so much pushback. Mm-hmm. Like I think of Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. Yeah. This is kind of like a squad-based, but kind of almost a single-player, like, narrative-driven game.
Yeah.
And it has all these optional like purchases, and it's like, why are those there? what purpose did they, have? Why is a skin cost as much as the game in this one thing? It's like, it's ridiculous.
There's no real reason other than they want your money. And they know that some people will buy it. That's it.
But it's so off-putting that it feels like if you're going to do that, you're just asking for people to not like your game. I feel like it's just an automatic, like people are going to be tired of it and they're not going to want to play it.
And is that a full price game too?
Oh yeah, $70 game.
Yeah, so there's another game that just dropped, that we're actually about to try to get into a little bit called Helldivers 2. Mm-hmm. And I watched the Before You Buy on it last night after we got off stream. Mm-hmm. And I haven't looked through the store or anything in Helldivers, but Jake Baldino was talking about it, and he was comparing it to Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and how less offensive it was. He was like, this is a $40 game, not a full price game. And the things in the store are like $2, $3. The CEO of the team even has tweets out saying like, I feel like you got to earn the right to really like fully try to monetize your game. We have a couple of options if you want to support us. Otherwise, play the game. And it's pretty generous with its, its currency types and whatnot, just playing the game.
That's great.
I mean, that's the way it should be. If you want to spend $3 here, $4 here because you love the game, do it, I guess. Mm-hmm. But at least you're not being asked to spend $40.
Right. I think it's awesome that if microtransactions truly are micro, that's the thing. If they really are only a couple dollars or something like max, and you don't need to be pressured to do it. Yeah. I think of Sea of Thieves as like the prime example of a game that does it so well.
Oh yeah. Sing its praises.
Well, and you guys who don't play on Xbox or PC who haven't got to experience it, there's a very good chance you might get to soon.
You're going to love it.
It's a great game, and it has the season pass, but it's almost like the season pass is almost like a tip jar, because it's like, it really doesn't give you anything at all. And if you want to play the game without buying the season pass, you do not have to.
Yeah. Basically all it does is it gives you your premium currency back. Mm-hmm. Like most battle passes seem to do nowadays, which is good. And it gives you like an extra ship set.
And that's it. That is it.
Other than that, you get all the same free cosmetics that everybody else get just for working through the free version of the Battle Pass.
It's kind of like a flipped version of the Fortnite Battle Pass where, in that, if you're playing for the free, you basically get nothing, just a little bit of stuff, and you pay to get all the good stuff. This is the opposite in Sea of Thieves. You get all the good stuff for free, and you pay to get just a little bit extra. Yeah. And it really does almost feel like it's like you just want to support the game if you want to buy it. It's interesting.
They do it well.
And there are their currencies, there are things that you can buy in there can be quite outlandish in terms of how much they cost if you were just like to pony up the cash to buy the currency. But it's almost like the game doesn't encourage you to do that.
You kind of have to go out of your way. It's a separate menu before you jump into the game. Mm-hmm. Or if you're in the game, you have to go to a specific shop at all these different outposts. And it's kind of out of the way. It's not really something you're going to accidentally do.
I don't even know that you would organically end up at that shop in any way. It's almost like they've tried to put it out of the way only for people who are looking to use it.
I think yes and no. I think once you know what it is, you'll never end up there by accident. The first time I played the game, I saw it because it was like all purple and I was like, what is that shop? Yeah. And I did go to it and I was like, oh, this is the premium place. But that's the only time it's ever happened. Mm-hmm. It's good. They do a good job. Good job, Rare.
All right, let's talk about one more genre of game that gamers are tired of.
Let's do it.
This one's from Pleb King. Who said, I feel burnt out on racing games, to be honest. They've been my favorite genre for a long while, but it feels like the newer releases feel unfinished and not as fun compared to the older ones. Nowadays, it feels that a lot of racing games put way much effort into being realistic as possible while forgetting to make an actual game. Just look at the horrendous bugs and unfinished features from the latest Forza Motorsport, the disappointing single player of Gran Turismo 7, or the horrific user experience of racing sims. It also doesn't help that a lot of racing games lately use the same real-world tracks, making each one feel the same.
Well, those are good points. I never thought about them using the same real-world tracks.
I don't know that
I've never heard about.
I don't play enough realistic racing sims to pay attention or care about that. Mm-hmm. I remember back in the day when I used to dabble in some NASCAR games, I remember thinking that it was kind of cool that the tracks were the same, if it was a real world track.
Right.
But I didn't play enough of them to get burnt out on it.
Yeah, and I don't think this guy's talking about your Bristols and your Darlingtons. I think he's talking about tracks, not NASCAR tracks. Tracks.
Real tracks.
Real tracks.
Not just
ones that let you turn right sometimes.
Right. I have been against racing games and love racing games. I've flip-flopped a lot. When I was a kid, I really liked Gran Turismo. Then I went through a long time of not caring at all about racing games. And then I got kind of back onto them through the Forza Motorsport. I really like those games. No, not Motorsport. I'm sorry. Forza Horizon. Yeah. I really like the Horizon games. So I've come back around. I don't think we get enough racing games right now. At least I don't play enough of them to get burnt out on them personally.
I don't really care much about racers, to be honest with you, unless it's a kart racer like Mario Kart. That's about all I get into. If there was a new F-Zero game, I'd play that because I liked that when I was a kid. But the realistic racers just aren't my thing. I don't really play them.
But I could get, I think that...
I'm not a car guy at all. And I think that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm also not a car guy. But I will say Gran Turismo 7 did kind of make me... I enjoyed the aspect of looking at the cars and seeing what it was all like. I thought that was really cool.
Man, I've just never really been into it. I mean, the machinery is cool. The testosterone of the horsepower. I understand it. The loudness of the engines. That sounds cool if I was in person. But looking at it on my TV, I just don't give a crap.
Agreed. So in terms of what game genres we're the most tired of, you said open world action adventures. Probably your answer.
Hundo
right?
sit.
I'd say that for me, it's more I don't know if it's a particular genre that I'm tired of as much as just overly long games I'm tired of.
Yeah.
I don't like that games often feel bloated. And I would rather see a game come in at that nice 10, 15 hour type experience.
Me too.
Instead of a game being super long just to make you feel like you got your money's worth. I'd rather feel like I got my money's worth out of great gameplay.
Me too. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons I'm tired of these open world games is because they are so long. So, I think we're in agreement to a certain extent.
I do feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out answer to say, I don't know if there's a particular genre, but...
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Let them know.
Open world games, I've definitely been burnt out on in the past, but recently I've enjoyed some open world games quite a bit. But I've also really disliked some other ones. I think it just comes down to the individual games.
I'm kind of surprised that you didn't say Battle Royale.
Really?
Yeah.
I just haven't played enough of them to get burnt out on them. Now, I don't always want to play Fortnite. I've been burnt out on playing Fortnite. When we were trying to stream it, it was eventually I was I just can't hardly put in the effort to want to play Fortnite.
You get burned out on games quicker than the rest of us, just in general, I think.
I think I do, yeah. I really like a variety in my games, And once I feel like the game has overstayed its welcome, I just cannot muster up the strength to want to play it.
We've only recently been able to get him back into Sea of Thieves, but I do notice. I think I noticed some occasional actual enthusiasm from you. I think you enjoy the game again.
I do enjoy the game.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I do enjoy the game. I have gone through phases.
Oh, I have too.
I remember when I got back into the game and I was playing it and I was just doing some relaxing PvE stuff. You thought I was crazy.
Yeah, because I was out of it at the time.
And then now I think you understand where I was coming from back then.
I totally do.
Yeah.
It's so fun to just fire up Sea of Thieves and do whatever the heck you want to do.
Right.
But I also love getting on there with my bros and trying to sweat harder than the other crew and send them down to Davy Jones.
I really do hope that Sea of Thieves is coming to all these different consoles so that you guys who are not Sea of Thieves converts yet can be.
Yes. And I just want more people in the game, so come on over. The water's fine.
Yeah. All right. So real quick before we go on to the next topic, I want to tell you guys about our Twitch channel where we're playing Sea of Thieves. Amongst other things.
We have been streaming a lot.
We
have damn near streamed every day for a while, it feels like. But we at least stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Those are guaranteed. But other than that, we're trying to stream as much as we can realistically. Some days we may end up taking off or have to take off, but we're trying to play as much as we can on there. So come check out, hang out with us. If you join our Discord server, we do get stream notifications there. Or you could just, follow us on Twitch and then you could get notifications through your phone or whatever you use to get those type of notifications.
That's right. Sometimes we send funny notifications when we go live too, so you don't want to miss that.
That's true. But it is a good time.
We're silly boys.
It is a good time. Okay, so Daniel, I know you're not excited to talk about this next topic.
Can we just cut the show?
We can, but we're not going to. I'm going to make you suffer. So bad news, if the rumors are to be believed, and,
I believe him.
We'll talk about that. But the rumor is that the Nintendo Switch successor has been internally delayed at Nintendo to no longer come out this year, which was the original plan on the holidays. Now it is coming early next year, maybe sort of mirroring that, like, March sort of release like we had with the previous Switch, but it's going to be 2025 instead of being holiday 2024.
Super Nintendo Entertainment Switch confirmed dead. Nintendo is closing shop. Run for the hills, gamers.
Obviously there's nothing from Nintendo. This is all just coming from, different places.
But it seems like it's come from some reliable places. I did some research.
Yeah, it does seem that way. It's being backed up. It's not just like one person saying this, but put out a poll seeing if people believed these rumors.
Yeah.
The poll says, do you believe the rumors that Nintendo's next console is being delayed to early 2025? And 80% of people said yes.
Yeah.
And only 20% of people said no.
Yeah, we all believe it. I think it's because in our heart of hearts, we know it's never coming.
We know it's never going to be here.
I was ready. I was ready to be hurt again, and check.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were in the same boat. I thought this had to be the year.
I thought for sure too, and I think that was their plan. It seems like this is coming from Nintendo. Like we have a comment from Guy who says, yeah, it looks like multiple publications are confirming that it's getting moved to Q1 2025.
Sad emoji.
Yeah, but we'll just have to see what Nintendo says about it. Hopefully the next Direct they have. Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear anything from Nintendo, first of all.
I don't think we're going to hear anything from Nintendo for months.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to hear anything about it until potentially, I don't know, because there is a silver lining to this.
Okay, tell me that.
The silver lining is that if they do not start advertising a Switch successor this year, which I think there's a potential that they don't, if we go all the way to the holiday season with the current Switch that we have now, it may sell really well. It may continue to sell really well. It's only about 15 million away from surpassing the PlayStation 2. This is giving it an extra chance to become the best-selling console of all time.
So the best silver lining you can come up with is that Nintendo continues to line their pockets.
I think it would be cool. I just think it would be cool. I loved the PS2.
Yeah, we all did. Clearly, everybody bought it.
But let's be honest. A big reason that a whole lot of those PlayStation 2s were bought was just because it played DVDs. Okay?
The Switch doesn't even do that.
And the Switch is just a gaming console. And it kind of feels cool knowing that the best-selling gaming console of all time may be something that is just purely a gaming console.
And I think that would be great because I've gone on record and I'll say it again. The Switch is my favorite console ever.
Same.
It's thebomb.com. I've been playing it again lately because I've been so excited about the Switch 2 that was going to be announced in a few months.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm having a great time with it again. It's just a great system. And I'm not upset to have to play it for another year. But and I would love for it to set the record. I would. I would love that. But dang.
I know.
I don't care that much about the record.
I don't either, besides being a huge Nintendo fanboy. And I just kind of think it would be cool.
It would be cool.
It kind of sucks because the PlayStation 2 was a big part of my childhood, and I don't want to write it off because I love the PlayStation 2.
Because Randy watched a lot of DVDs.
But I watched a lot of movies back. No, I'm just kidding. But the Switch is just so special to me. I would love to see it be number one just because, I don't know, I think it'd be cool.
It would be cool.
People get upset that we talk about that kind of stuff, that we're people are like, who cares about this stuff? Why do you guys even care who has the best-selling system? Because it's fun. It's just fun.
It's just neat to think that a system you love, the whole world agreed with you. That's all. It's a camaraderie thing, guys. But I'm with you. I would rather have a new system than a record. But I'll take what I can get.
All right.
And I'll be happy about it. And I'll give him my money when the time is right.
Now I want you to read this comment from Brian Thomas, Daniel. This one's a doozy.
Okay, Brian Thomas said, and I quote, "So do you think that the leak that the Switch 2 is coming out this year is wrong and a new leak says it's been delayed? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Amazing how short gamers memories are. Remember about 5 years ago when we were assured there was going to be a Vita 2? Remember a year or two ago when we were assured a Switch Pro was going to be revealed immediately? Remember last week when we were assured Xbox was going to go third party? This might be true, but don't believe leaks.
Ooh. Okay, look, I'll admit, us gamers, we do have a short memory, especially those of us who, like to follow the rumors.
And we're fickle beasts.
We're real fickle, and, yes. And this does feel like a little bit of a personal attack, even though I know it's not. We've covered all these things for the most part.
Water off a duck's back, Cody. Water off a duck's back.
And it is important, I think, to take all these leaks with a grain of salt, for sure. But
also, the Switch Pro was apparently coming.
Well, that's what we've heard.
And
Nintendo has not confirmed that, but that's what we've heard.
And then, the world decided that it couldn't.
Yeah. Now, in terms of last week, last week we did a podcast all about Xbox going third party.
Did we?
Yeah, and let me tell you guys, the comments on that, we got roasted, Daniel.
Did we? I wasn't here that week. It was Justin Roiland.
That's true. Yeah.
Did you get roasted?
Yeah, we got roasted. Me and Justin got roasted.
Oh man, I heard Justin said some dumb stuff about esports too.
He did.
Yeah, we got a little roasted, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I mean, here's the thing. One, I don't think people watched the full podcast. It was almost an hour long. That's too long. People got these TikTok memory spans. They can only pay attention for about 30 seconds at a time.
Put them on blast, Cody. Put them on blast.
I'm gonna turn around and blame you guys. No, I do think that we cover all kinds of topics, and we were just talking about what if they're going third party. We're kind of. Sometimes I know we take it a little seriously. We take this gaming stuff maybe too seriously. But
no,
I don't think, there were if you guys want a real good laugh, go back and read the comments from last week's podcast. That was a hoot.
Yeah. And, I just want to say that, maybe watch it in entirety before you drop us a comment, hating, because we might have, we might have already addressed the subject of the hate.
We may have, and we probably did, but then also, I know we're not, we get excited.
Yeah.
And, we actually, believe it or not, despite what the comments would have you think, we actually do enjoy Xbox quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I'm not going to buy another one is because I don't want to play the games. It's because I have another thing that can play the games.
Right.
That's all.
Right. And we just like talking about this kind of stuff because it's fun. And by the way, they did announce that 4 games are going cross-platform, so that wasn't like it's completely unfounded. So.
And anyway, everything we say on here, we're just two rednecks goofing off, and
that's the truth of it.
I mean, we love this stuff, and we're not ever going to say anything that doesn't come from a place of just trying to be a little entertaining and maybe slightly factual.
And yeah, exactly. We're just having fun talking about video games here. You got to remember, at the end of the day, we're just two rednecks talking about video games. That's it.
3 for Dale.
Speaking of 3 for Dale, the last segment of our podcast is always the 3 for Dale Club. This is where you guys come in, okay? If you leave us a comment on the YouTube version of this podcast, and then in the comment, leave our secret code phrase, 3 for Dale, we find out that you made it all the way to the end with us, and we shout you out at the end of the next podcast. That's all it takes.
Yeah, it ain't easy to stick all the way to the end with us, and we want to shout you out if you did. So, leading the 3 for Dale charge this week is Dale himself, Landon Stallings. At this point, he's ascended past VIP status. He might as well be the president of the club.
Landon sent me a photo of his mustache he's working on. Very good. Very Dale-like.
Landon, my DM's closed?
Yeah, he didn't want to show you. He just wanted to show me.
That was weird, Randy.
Yeah, I know. That was a little strange. Landon's going to be like, what is Randy talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, please don't say that I'm growing out a Dale mustache. Look.
Too late?
It's too late, Landon. I already said it.
All right, hit us with this
and
next
I'm not
one.
backing off now.
I'm curious to hear you read this.
Yeah, I am going to butcher this name, but it's like Way Radula Regiment.
That's what I would have said.
Okay. I probably said that wrong, but here's the comment. It said, testing if 3 for Dale on videos that are no longer the latest is still valid. I've consumed your podcast for a while now, but kept failing to have the right opportunity to comment what I wanted to on a recent episode. I've heard you acknowledge late 3 for Dale mentions in the past, which I have done, but I don't know if it was a special case. I'm wondering if YouTube YouTube shows my YouTube handle, at name, or my original YouTube screen name. Well, I think it shows your at name.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're late, like say you're commenting on an older video, usually I catch the 3 for Dales.
Yeah.
But I cannot promise that I'm going to always get them, because sometimes we just have a whole bunch of comments. And I definitely get the ones from the most recent podcast. And if I catch the ones from the older ones, I will add them on. But
You're rolling the dice a little.
yeah, you're rolling the dice a little bit. Like there's no guarantee that I'm going to get it. But this time, yeah, I did. And I try, but I'm not perfect.
And we're glad to have you.
Yep. Glad to have you here.
Glad you've been watching for a while, and I'm glad you finally felt compelled to comment. You know,
Welcome
that's awesome.
to the 3 for Dale Club.
Welcome. Next up, we got Guy in Time, who said it was crazy that y'all were able to get Justin Roiland on the show. Unfortunate that Daniel wasn't able to be here for it, but hopefully they can chat next time. Rick, and Morty.
Okay. Yeah, that was a fun episode.
You remember that Gen Z trend?
No, I do not remember that trend.
I'm so freaking hip, it's ridiculous.
Okay. Next, we got Tom Derry, who said, "Nice 3 for Dale hat, Daniel."
Thanks, bro.
We got a 3 for. We could both have 3 for Dale hats.
We do. If you join us on Twitch, go in there and spend some Dale dollars, you might get to see them.
By the way, Dale dollars are not a real currency.
They're channel points.
They're channel points. Yeah, we're not asking you to spend real money on us. Don't do that.
Unless you want to go to,
unless you really want
unless you want to go to the merch link and buy yourself a sick gaming gig coffee mug or a hat or something, shirt. Are there hats?
Only if we've really earned
Are there
it.
hats?
No, they're not hats.
Shirts.
There are shirts. There are mugs.
All right.
There are hoodies. There are long sleeve and short sleeve shirts.
All right, we're going to finish it out here with D18, who said, as great as Game Pass is, it can definitely cheapen the experience, like Randy said. I bought RE4 Remake a few months back. The first hour or so wasn't super into it, but ended up loving the game. I only kept playing it because I bought it. If I had played the first hour on Game Pass, guaranteed it would have joined the massive list of games I uninstalled rather quickly. RE4 didn't grab me in the first hour either, and by the end of it, I loved it too. So, good example of how sticking with a game is the way to go sometimes.
It absolutely is. I usually try not to give up on games early on, even if I'm not really gelling with them. I try to give them like at least a fair shake. Like, it can be hard to do though if it's really not clicking with you up front. It can be hard to do,
and it's hard to dedicate time when time is so precious.
Definitely,
and it is not always plentiful. So it's not always fun, to try to grind through that initial couple hours in the hopes that it gets better, but it can be worth it. They didn't say it was going to be easy. They said it was going to be worth it.
Daniel, you're hitting us with just like, I'm feeling things off of that. I'm feeling things. I rarely feel things, but I just did.
Word.
All right, y'all. Well, until next time, I'm Randy.
Which makes me Daniel.
And this has been Game and Gig.
3 for Dale.